Hello and welcome to My Security TV, our Tech and Sec Weekly. This is our Tuesday afternoon episode, and today we're going to be looking at data centres and Macquarie's most recent data centre in Canberra. And we're going to be speaking to Aiden Tudehope, the Managing Director with Macquarie Government. I'll bring on Aiden Tudehope. I hope it didn't go too long there. Aiden, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, Chris, thank you.
Very good. Managing Director for Macquarie Government, and you've just opened up a brand new data centre in Canberra. Congratulations first, because it's always nice to open up a new building. How did it go? Maybe we'll talk us through the overall project, and then kind of, because Macquarie is quite a large beast in itself. So how does this fit into the business overall for you?
Yeah, no, thank you, Chris. Absolutely delighted to. So let me bring alive what we're doing down in Canberra. Last month, we completed the $17 million expansion to our data centre campus in Fairburn, which is adjacent to the airport in Canberra. It's a Tier 4 data centre that is the highest level of resiliency that you can make or embed into the design of a data centre. And it's zoned for SCEC Zone 5 ready, which means it can handle right through to government top secret information. Now, this investment is on an existing data centre campus that we first started now about 10 years ago, and it is all about supporting the Commonwealth's drive around securing their data and securing their data in sovereign data centres. There's really, Chris, a very increasing focus on making sure that government data sets stay onshore but are in data centres owned and operated by Australian entities.
Well, you just on that quickly. I mean, this is obviously government, but this is purely going to be Australian data. I mean, you could sort of hold foreign data that's foreign governments if it's government approved. It's not limited to the data it can hold, but obviously it's designed for government sovereign data.
Look, the Australian government has complete flexibility as to what data they choose to put in there. Obviously, it's Canberra-based, right? So, it is designed for the Commonwealth. I'm going to suggest that there isn't a huge market in Canberra outside the Commonwealth needs, and that's what it's been designed for.
And maybe just talk us through your sort of suite of data centres. How does this fit into the data centre portfolio that you're building?
Yeah, so the one in Canberra is Intellicentre 5 bunker, as the number 5 suggests. There's 4 before it. They are spread across Sydney and in Canberra. The main development we're having outside the one I've just referred to in Canberra is Intellicentre 3 East. That's on our Macquarie Park data centre campus, and that development is due for completion this month, March. That's an $85 million build, and it's building that campus out to be 43 megawatts. So a very significant investment in data centre capacity across the Sydney and Canberra markets.
And have you got others in construction?
They're the 2 right now. We're expecting that we will start to build out further plans, because if I look at that Sydney one, a very sizable portion of what we are completing this month is already being sold. And we announced a very significant deal with a Fortune 500 company just before Christmas. So we will get our skates on and build out the plans for future expansions, but nothing announced at this point.
How's the general market, and how do you approach this market? It is an interesting one in terms of you try to sell the data. So it's like real estate in a way. You're trying to sell the space first before you start building, or do you kind of bit like an apartment building where you kind of design it, prepare it, you've got the land, and then you go off and sell it? What's the process there, and how challenging is that to balance as you go through the project?
Yeah, look, I think balance is the right word. I mean, rarely does someone get to have their data centre materially sold before they complete. That was a particularly good position for our business. Look, I think what gives me confidence is that this is part of a mega trend around adoption of cloud computing. We all know that from our personal lives. We know that from our work environments. And we talk about the move to the cloud. The cloud resides somewhere. And increasingly, particularly for the Commonwealth, there is a desire for that cloud to reside in Australia and only subject to Australian jurisdiction. That's what gives us confidence that what we're building here in Australia will have demand and customers for when it is completed. We've been doing data centres for for now just on 20 years.
Right.
So there's track record there and experience in what the customer wants. So when we listen to the customer, we actually then end up building a product that is sought after.
And what's your activities in the region outside of Australia?
Our focus is very much here in Australia. For the Commonwealth, we do cybersecurity, cloud and co-location for 42% of the Commonwealth. So that alone keeps us super busy.
And maybe just talk us through Macquarie Telecom and how this all fits to the larger business. As you say, cybersecurity and a whole range of other technologies. You do seem to be sort of not so much segregated, but you've created different business units to deal with that. Is there a point where you cross over?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Chris. So we're part of the Macquarie Telecom Group. We're ASX listed, $1 billion, ASX top 300 by capitalisation. We have 500 employees around the country, and we're to 4 business units. There's a telecom part of the business, cloud services, data centres, and what we do for government. They do all interrelate with each other. At the end of the day, a data centre is meaningless without connectivity.
True.
So having telecom and data centres makes sense. And of course, a secure data centre is needed, and that feeds very well into what we're doing on the cyber security piece and what we're doing for the Commonwealth. So they're all very much complementary and with all different purposes, but very much complementary in what they bring to the table with our customers.
Well, I suppose that's a question of how much, because you're looking at the tier 4 and then you've got SCEC Zone 5, so you need SCEC consultants. I imagine Macquarie's got its own SCEC consultants. How much internal do you build this and your design teams in terms of the security approach to this as well? Like, do you need to go outside? Or I've got a number here, there was 150 NV1 government cleared engineers involved in this data centre project. How much is that one business servicing the other?
Yeah, so we've got 150 NV1 cleared engineers in our business, and they're very much focused on that government piece. When it comes to building a data centre, all data centres go to best of breed around the world. We took a particularly strong focus in where we could leverage local content. We've just lived through a really challenging period with COVID and an economic recession, and I go, whatever we could do where we could support local business to build this data centre, as well as the one in Sydney, we leveraged local skills. But it is very much a collaborative effort. We're not builders, so we obviously have head builders, nor do we make diesel drops and batteries and other technologies, so we do obviously leverage that technology. What we bring to the equation is understanding the customer, Chris, and we also bring to the table of we know how to operationalise a data centre, how to run it, how to tune it, and how to get the most out of it when it comes to efficiency and the like.
One final question I have is how much new tech are you seeing coming into the data center business? Because I mentioned Supercomputing Asia before, and there's a lot around sort of the data centers there, and almost the introduction of robotics into data centers as well. How much sort of new tech are you seeing coming into the data center sort of environment? Yeah,
I look over the last 20 years of building data centers, and I sort of answer that question in Chris and saying, how does the data center look that we built 20 years ago? How does that look different from the one that we're building today? Yeah. And the answer is the fundamentals are still there. The underlying drive is to improve the efficiency of a data center. No different from, say, the automotive industry. How do I get the fuel consumption down? And that applies in data centers. And so that's the line of data center build. That with the needs of the customers, where computers are shrinking in size, not necessarily shrinking in power consumption, but certainly in size. What does that mean in aggregate then is you've got higher density in every rack, which then adds extra complications. But it also means that when you get that efficiency to improve, it has a really big bearing because there's more and more servers, more and more cloud applications being put into these data centers. So overarching consistent trend, about better efficiency across the board.
Yeah, particularly power and heat control, right, and that type of thing. And one of the other key challenges is the future-proofing this and kind of modularising. Do you find you modulise it a bit where you can sort of change those racks over? The fundamental infrastructure of the DCs there, the security and all of that type of thing should remain relatively current, but it's really sort of that processing technology and the power technology that you might need to upgrade down the track, and you just want to be able to modulise, pull that in and pull it, sort of pull it out and then put it back in?
Yeah, so by being a tier 4 data centre means that you can pull off any piece of infrastructure and upgrade it, patch it, replace it, etc. So through the life cycle, that's happening all the time, right? You know, there's electronics and there's mechanics here, like in any other industry, including if I use that automotive example again, things break, things need to be maintained. So it is precision engineering, and it needs to be able to have a life cycle that well and truly outlives any one element. So that's part of running a data center. It also means that there is value from scale in this business, which is why you're seeing, you know, a competitive market where there are a reasonable number of data center players there, all of reasonably large scale. You don't have to be the largest, but you do need to have a degree of scale in order to have that efficiency of maintenance and lifecycle management.
Nice. And last question, in terms of this is a government-built data center, are you managing that as a client, and so it's an agency, direct to a government agency, or is this going to be managed at the government level and they'll do with it as they please in terms of who uses it?
So it's very much our data center. We will sell it to multiple agencies at either a rack, a cage, a data hall level. And so if I look at, for example, our existing data center that's in Canberra, IC4, that has many, in fact, it has probably 42% of the Commonwealth in that facility, either through our cybersecurity offering, our cloud offering, or buying data center capacity. So the same will apply now with Intellicentre 5. It's multi-agency, particularly focused on the security, the cybersecurity apps and workloads, particularly focused on those data sets that need to stay, reside, and remain sovereign here in Australia.
Very good. Well, look, I've put a couple of photos up there. Data centers, they're not that exciting to actually look at. They're like looking at a prison for some people. It's like, okay, only the security people will be like, okay, that looks cool. But look, very, very interesting. Like I said, we've covered data centers quite a bit, but I think it's always nice to see a new one opened up in Canberra. $17 million from Macquarie Government and Macquarie. Is it Macquarie Data Centres is the business group, isn't it?
Is the group that builds the data centers, yes, Chris.
Very good. Well, look, thank you so much, Aiden. I do appreciate that. It's great having you on. Aiden Tudehope, the Managing Director with Macquarie. Do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here.
Good on you, mate. I'll put you backstage.